This video was brought to you by Monthly. Finally, a way to keep track of your company's SaaS expenses in one place. Get 1 free month by using the link in the description. His Instagram is the stuff of legend and has even earned him the rank of the king of Instagram. Millions of followers have seen him cruise around in yachts, sleep on stacks of money, and even fired M16 machine guns. He's also an actor and entrepreneur who made his riches playing poker. At least that's what he has told the world. But lately, Dan Bilzerian's lifestyle has caught up with him. A lot of his past has come to light, and he doesn't seem to be that perfect alpha male example. So let us tell you all about it, or him, in this episode of Company Forensics. Early life. Born in 1980, Daniel Brandon Bilzerian is the son of Paul Bilzerian. And we need to pause here and go back to the Bilzerian genealogy just for a moment because Paul was quite a character. After serving in Vietnam and a stint in university, he made a big name for himself in the corporate world in the 80s by becoming a corporate raider. Corporate raiders are people who buy large stakes in companies and after gaining control, take action to increase the stock value. But these actions are usually either unethical or go against company management. People knew him as aggressive and sometimes successful, but his practices were just too obvious, and the SEC was onto him in no time. By 1989, authorities accused him of fraud. But Paul Bilzerian was elusive. He delayed trials and used defense allegations such as, "I didn't hurt anybody," or "Hey, I'm a Vietnam vet." His strategy paid off as authorities could not put him away for the full extent of his crimes, and instead he ended up paying but a fraction of his theoretical punishment. He served 16 months in prison instead of 4 years and paid just $3.7 million of the $62 million he had defrauded. And trust me, there are 2 fundamental reasons why I'm telling you this. But first, let's go back to Dan. College, Navy, and poker beginnings. So Dan Bilzerian wasn't a good student, anything but, as he dropped out of 4 high schools in just 3 years. Given his failed academic endeavors, he enrolled in the Navy. Apparently, he was weeks away from graduating from the highly demanding Navy SEALs, but he pissed off an officer, leading to his expulsion, apparently. So he gave the academy one more shot, and he enrolled in the University of Florida, where he apparently graduated from business. Apparently. But most importantly for our story, that's where he fell in love with poker, a love affair that eventually broke him. Dan Bilzerian has said that in 2007, he had only $750, which he got from selling some of his guns. According to him, he was determined to bounce back and, on his way to Vegas, managed to turn those $750 into $10,000, and then into $187,000. Big poker money and even bigger questions. Dan Bilzerian had long said that the funding for such a lavish lifestyle has come from poker, and poker alone. Repeatedly, he has stated that he's earned as much as $50 million playing poker, and the media believes him. In 2013, when he had a mere 200,000 followers, the Daily Mail called him the $100 million poker champion. They also call him a playboy with a lunatic lifestyle, but who reads those articles anyway? And yes, the world of poker is quite lavish, but some people within the poker circles didn't buy Bilzerian's persona. Professional player Doug Polk went as far as analyzing Bilzerian's game and found many inconsistencies and mistakes professionals at that alleged level don't make. Though some criticized him, many accepted the fact. Pro or not, Bilzerian was a walking promotion machine. Followers increased exponentially, and poker was regaining popularity thanks to him. People wanted his lifestyle, even if it was extreme. So extreme that some sources disagree on how many heart attacks he's had. The base number is 2 before the age of 30. Some sources say he had a third one, but others say it was a pulmonary embolism. At first, he said it was due to fatigue because he didn't sleep for 3 days, but then he revealed it was more a combination of Viagra, cocaine, and exhaustion. Just some light stuff. But why does all this matter? The money came from somewhere. In 2014, Dan Bilzerian finally told the Wall Street Journal that he had inherited some money from his father, but he didn't disclose how much. And here's the first reason why I was telling you all those things about his father. Paul Bilzerian never actually returned the money to the SEC because he declared bankruptcy in 1991. But what he did was funnel the money through a complicated network of partner companies and trust funds. Some companies belonged to his wife, he owned a few others, but proving so was problematic for the authorities, and one of the trust funds, which had over $11 million, belonged to his 2 sons. Now, we're not saying Dan Bilzerian's money comes from his father's shady businesses, but we're not saying it doesn't. What we know is that since about age 30, he's been in the public eye, for better or for worse. Bilzerian has never shied away from the spotlight. In fact, he has even ventured into acting. He invested $1 million in the film Lone Survivor in exchange for 8 minutes and about 30 seconds of dialogue. And I didn't know you could do that. Anyway, the film company cut his screen time to about a minute and just one dialogue line. And he wasn't happy, of course, so he sued them. Eventually, the movie was so successful, he earned more from royalties than the lawsuit, so he dropped it. But his story isn't just about shortened screen times, it's gotten more serious. Bilzerian was present at the Vegas shooting and decided that it was okay to film himself, then post the videos on Instagram. He described the chaos in the first videos, even narrating how people had died around him. Other videos surfaced in which he played hero and asked the cop for a gun to help out. The video shows him flashing what seems to be his gun permit and asking for a gun. He asked officers, "Don't you want my help?" To which one police officer politely replied, "Who the fuck are you? Get away from me." Many, including veterans, criticized him for wanting the spotlight and uploading the videos to Instagram, which he has since taken down. The controversies add up. Once, Bilzerian threw a woman into a pool and broke her foot. She sued, and his lawyer said it was an act of God. He kicked a model's face at a bar but claimed he was breaking up a fight. Then he was arrested for trying to build a bomb. So, when he announced his new company Ignite, the world took notice. An intriguing business venture. In 2017, Bilzerian created the Ignite Cannabis Company to become, in its own words, the first premium global cannabis brand. After just months in existence, Ignite said it was a lifestyle brand. They still sold their cannabis products, but also included clothing, beverages, and vapes. Ignite went public in February 2019 and reported an accumulated $3.5 million in revenue from January to June. They had hired lifestyle veterans such as Linda Menzel and Jean Bernardo. It was a promising start, right? Well, not really. The company had $23 million in losses during the same period. And it doesn't end there because there was a big question. Journalist Chris Roberts sums it up perfectly. I cover weed and CBD for a living. I live in an area absolutely saturated with CBD products, and I do not think that I have ever seen an Ignite product out in the wild. So, while young companies can struggle to reach profitability, and some might even have difficulties placing their products, Ignite was different. The company wasn't just financing itself. A luxurious sinking ship. Ignite enjoyed a $52 million valuation at the beginning of 2020. CBD and THC products had seen an increase in consumption in the past months, and as the global health crisis sharpened, companies in the market saw a boost in sales, but Ignite didn't. Though rumors were floating in the air, and the reason for the losses surfaced in mid-2020. Ignite was Bilzerian's cash cow. The company funneled $67 million to finance his lifestyle and pay for such expenses as the lease of his Los Angeles home at around $200,000 a month. Other expenses included $15,000 for a ping pong table, $26,000 in Instagram promotion, and $130,000 Bahamas photo shoot. All Dan Bilzerian did was swipe the credit card, and Ignite took the blow. After the report, anonymous employees confirmed Ignite was there basically to pay for Bilzerian's tastes. They remained undercover for an important reason. When the company's former president, Curtis Heffernan, questioned the expenses and refused to pay for them, Dan Bilzerian fired him the next day. This, once again, went to court. But the financial hardship went deeper. Ignite's money came from two sources. One was through issuing and selling stock, and the other was through raising debt. According to Ignite's annual filing, $25 million came from shares, $20 million from convertible debt, and $24 million from what they refer to as a short-term promissory note. So the company existed thanks to outside money and no real sales. Add to this, the internal finances made no sense. Ignite's promotion budget was $22 million, while revenue was less than half of that. And all the while, Bilzerian was not slowing down. His Instagram kept showing bikini-clad women, yachts, and stacks of money. When news broke out of Ignite's finances, he downplayed the situation using Uber's financial position as a reference, which has famously operated at a loss since the beginning. Despite his comments, Ignite was struggling. In less than a year, it had 4 different precedents. Also, partners felt the risk was too high, and in October of 2020, CanMart, one of their main partners and their leading distributor in Canada, decided to terminate the partnership. With heavy losses, no products, and no distributor, Ignite's stock plummeted from $1.44 Canadian to $0.36 in no time. As of the making of this video, analysts have said that Ignite has only weeks to live. One estimate is that by the end of the year, the company will go bankrupt. So it seems the magic carpet ride is over. The funds for a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah have dried up. Perhaps the SEC can rest in peace knowing, finally, where all the money has gone. Which leads me to 2 reasons why this story was important. Number 1, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And number 2, if you don't want to lose track of your own expenses, you should take our new product for a spin. Monthly automatically tracks, consolidates, and classifies all your SaaS expenses so you can get rid of that spreadsheet you're probably using. It also lets you easily identify orphaned tools that your team is paying for but no longer using. You can sign up for free at monthlyapp.com. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.